Today we're talking about the DCW604NT, the Dewalt plunger trimmer router, interchangeable body, so you can take the body out and put it into either of those. It's suitable for the 18-volt lithium battery. I have two of those already, so when I ordered this, I opted for the no battery, no charger option. Have a look online when you are ordering these, because I saved £60 by shopping online. There is a store local to me that I normally get all my stuff from because it's very convenient, but shopped around this time and it was £60 cheaper. That being said, let's have a quick jump in. We'll see what comes in the box and if it's suitable for you. Now, as you can see, it comes in a pretty cool case, the same as all the other Dewalt cases. They can interlock and you can stack those up, which is pretty convenient for your tools. I tend to actually have mine out and hung in the garage or on a shelf, but if it works for you, then having them stacked is perfect. So in the box, we obviously have your instruction manual. Very important to read through that first of all. We have your trimmer body. So this is going to have the unit that slides into there. We'll show you that in a moment. Let's take that out of the bag. We have the plunge body, also very cool. Pretty weighty, but looks pretty good. At the minute I have got the router in there, so it's obviously adding a bit of weight to that. We haven't got a battery on there yet, that would obviously add more weight as well. Got your two extractors. Let's unbag those as well. Also, to add your actual case is pretty good. There's spaces for everything in there. If you wanted to add more bits, you might have a bit of a problem because there's not an incredible amount of space, but enough space for you to fit the bits that are needed in there. Now your extractors, so like I say, we have some bases there, and we've got your extractors, one for your plunge and one for your trimmer router. So that's good, it comes with both of those. I'm yet to actually have an extractor myself, but that's on the list of tools to get. Just to add, I'm a very amateur woodworker, so now obviously I'm an amateur woodworker, so for me it's a case of keeping the tools all the same. I use the same battery, the Dewalt batteries. I try not to mix between the tools just so I'm not having too many batteries, too many chargers, but obviously that does come at a price. The Dewalt tools are slightly more expensive than cheaper tools on the market, but I find they tend to last as long as I've been using them, and they're pretty high quality from what I can tell. Now also in that bag we've got your little adjustable spanner, which will obviously adjust in here. And we've got some other little tools there just to add your accessories on. So let's have a look. There we go, you've got your little guide there. Your bars for your guide, and there's the guide for the trimmer router, that one. And a little bar that I have no idea what that's for just yet. Changing between your bodies is really, really simple. We have this little lock here. You simply undo that, and that just pulls straight out from your plunge router. If you want to put that into your trim router, we just undo that. Got your collar there. The collar simply screws onto there, he says, simply. Now you've got your two little clips on the side here. When that's fitting into the body here, you've got a little metal rim there, and that's going to clip onto that, which then allows you to adjust the trimmer. So let's get that in there. Okay, and we'll clip that on. There we go, that is clipped in. And to adjust it, you can see you can just twist there. Really, really simple, and that will obviously give you the depth you want. Okay, we've got your variable speeds on the side there. That goes from 1 to 7. I believe the variable speed on that is 16,000 to 26,000 RPM, which is obviously pretty good. I haven't had a play around with this yet, so the speed that's necessary for certain woods is obviously going to differ slightly if you want to get a cleaner trim on there, but we can play around with that. Now, going back to our plunge router, we obviously have the height increments as you do on most plunge routers. The base itself is pretty sturdy, feels strong enough. We've got your little lock there, made me jump, which allows you to adjust your plunge down to a certain depth. You let go of that and that will lock in. You can also push that back and that will just tighten off even more, just to know it's not going to move around as much. Now if we release that, there we go. We're going to take the router body out of here. Simply slides out, nice and simple. Let's undo this and we'll chuck it into the plunge router. Now, as far as I'm aware, when you're dropping this into here, it can go two ways. Depending on which way you want to hold the router is up to you. You might find it easier, let's put that down. You might find it easier holding your router that way when you're moving, or that way. Bear in mind that the start switch is on the body on these, so you really want to have it so it's in a convenient place to be able to start it as well. I'm going to have mine facing that way. So I'm going to drop that in. There we go, that's in, that locks itself in. You do have, on the side here, a little groove. There's a couple of little notches in there. You can line that up with and it lines up perfectly. Okay, so that's that. We do have, obviously, as well as the adjustable height here, you can use this to adjust your height if you want to get it really, really accurate. That's going to be able to help you out as well. Let's lock that in. Okay, so the family's arrived home, which means I'm ousted to the garage. But that's a good opportunity for me to have a try with these routers. I'm probably just going to try the trimmer for today, just see how that goes, but if we get time then I'll have a go on the plunge as well. I am using pallet wood, which is the main material I use for, like a pointy stick, for my tables, as you can see there. Excuse the mess, the garage is a bit messy, but it's perfect workspace for me. We're going to get this clamped down, I'm going to fit some of the router bits on, and we're going to give it a little trim just to see how well it does. This is pretty soft wood, this is a pine wood, but we can see how it goes and how we get on. Now, these are the router pieces that I picked up off Amazon. There's 24 pieces in this and it cost about 40 quid. That was including delivery. It's probably not the best set of router bits you can get. Obviously 24 bits for 40 quid is going to be a sign that they're not the best ones you can get. But for what I'm doing and the level that I'm at, they're probably ideal for me. But we'll have a look at a few of these. We'll have a play around with them with the router and we'll see how they look. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but the good thing about this is it actually tells you, which most router sets do, but it tells you the kind of cut you're going to get from each router. Now for this piece of wood here, what I'm going to do is just try and trim the edge and just see how we get a trim on the edge. The interesting bit about that is we've got a knot on the wood here, so I kind of want to see how that deals with that and whether it takes a bigger chunk out than we've already got there or whether it cleans it up. So in terms of what router bit I'm going to use, I think we're going to go for this one here, which gives you a 45-degree angle cut. It should make it look pretty tidy, and maybe going forwards is what I'm going to use on the coffee tables that I make. So let's get this one banged in the router trimmer and we'll see how we get on. Now we do want to make sure it's lined up all nicely. Now with that, we want to put a collar on first, I think. That's how I do it. It seems to be the easiest way to get that fitted into the actual trimmer itself. However, getting it to catch on is sometimes a little bit tricky. There we go. So we want to put the collar on first. We're going to take that all the way up there. Then we're going to fit this into here and we want it that way round. Okay, so that's just going to slide into there nicely. And we're in. We then lock it off. And what we're going to do with this one is we'll start around 5. So the setting's 5 on there. Now obviously I need my battery in there, and then we're going to try and fit the router bit into there. Again, we're using the 45-degree cut, which should just give us a nice edge on that. That's what we're hoping for anyway. So let's give it a try. Safety tip number 1, just made this up on the fly, but probably best to put your battery on after you fitted your router bit. What you don't want to do is accidentally switch it on when you're trying to fit the router bit, because that's when you get some problems. When you do receive your trimmer, you may not notice, as I didn't, that it actually comes with a 1/2 inch bit in there. So what we need to do is undo that 1/2 inch bit, and you'll notice in your box that you'll have a 1/4 inch bit, which is obviously for your 1/4 inch router bits. That confused me a little bit there because I couldn't get mine to secure in, but we're there now. So what we want to do is just make sure we get the bit in there. That's it, let's loosen that up slightly. That's it, we get our bit in. Hold your little yellow button down at the front there and just tighten that. Now we don't want to go too tight, don't want to thread it or anything like that. So just about there should do, not too much effort. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fit that back into our router body, the trimmer. Just be careful not to prang the edges or anything like that. Let's get that up on there. There we go, lovely. Okay, we can then start dropping that down if I do it the right way, and we get it to the level that we want it at, and we should then be able to start trimming our wood. Now obviously we have to be careful of our height, so what we want to do is just run that along the edge there. Just make sure we get a good cut in there. Now this is obviously important. What we want to make sure is that the router bit is eating into it that way. But let's fit our battery. We'll lock that in. Let's get our battery on there. That's all fitted. Let's just crank it up and make sure it's working. It's a fully charged battery, making sure it's my charged battery. Let's get that started and see how we get on. So as you can see, stops literally as soon as you press the button. Super safe, awesome stuff. What we're going to do now is just trim this bit of wood and just see how we get on. So let's make sure we've got it properly lined up. Okay. Awesome stuff. So as you can see, we were worried a bit about the knot, or I was worried about the knot. It has taken a bit of a tink out there where the little bearing fell in there, so those are sort of things you've got to be careful of. But other than that, I mean, super smooth. We could give it another pass, just make sure we're keeping it nice and flat. Let's give it another go and just see if it tidies it up a bit. Awesome stuff. Yeah, really clean, lovely, lovely finish, super smooth as you can see. Smooth as anything, perfect. Like I say, this is the importance of having an extractor. I do get sawdust everywhere. That is on my list of things to get, and you do find you tend to lose pieces in the sawdust. So it's one thing to consider. So far though, so good. That is absolutely stunning little finish. That, really happy with that. So next up I just want to try a little round edge finish. We're going to try that on the other side of this and just see how it looks after we've done that. Make sure we got a bit all the way in there. Again, not too tight when we're tightening up, just about hand tight, and that should be good. Let's get it fitted back into the body and we'll see how we get on with that. We're going to work back this way this time because we are on the other side of the wood. Okay, that is touching slightly, so we're just going to raise that down a bit. There we go, let's have a look at that. Slight bit burn out the finish, but you would obviously, if on a normal table you'd come right to the edge, you'd come off there. But that's given it, yeah, a gorgeous finish again, nicely rounded off there. I actually prefer that rounded edge to the square edge, but it depends on what the look you're going for really, I suppose. One thing to mention, obviously, the light on the bottom of there really helps when you're trying to guide it along. It just helps it keep it accurate along that line, really helps. So on the whole, trimmer is a win. Win, mate, love that. Awesome bit of kit. Let's try one more bit. We're just going to cut straight through there and just see how it cuts when it's going through. Okay, so for the final one we're going for a chunky old 19mm diameter. The reason I'm mostly interested in this one is I haven't got a CNC machine. The most recent table that I've made, let me just grab it for you and show you. As you can see, this is made from pallets, and well, you can't really see it's made from pallets, but it is made from pallets. They were cut down, put into strips, and then cut into squares and all stuck together. The trouble with that is obviously the surface, it's on a bit of plywood. The surface is still pretty uneven, so what I want to do is create a router jig to work along all this table, which will eventually give me like a nice smooth equal surface, and it just make it look a bit better, a bit less rough around the edges, shall we say. I'm not sure on how long the battery lasts on this. This is the 18-volt battery. I would be unaware of the maximum time that could last. Be interested to find out, might do that one day, just run it and see how long it can last. Hopefully it wouldn't burn out the router by running for too long. Just want to make sure we're not going to take out the chunk of my table. This is my ever expensive worktop. We're on 5 still, level 5. I'm just going to try that and see how we get on going into this. Obviously that wasn't the most accurate. It has left the edges a bit rough, but that's my own fault because we're not really using any guide or anything to work it through. What I'm most interested in is just to see the finish in here. Super smooth, perfect really. If you got it all lined up and you've got your guide on there and you're working along something, that's going to give you an absolutely perfect cut and will actually make it lovely for me to cut. With my table, I'm only going to be taking about 2 or 3 mil off. So yeah, it's perfect. So on the whole, the Dewalt trimmer, absolute winner, mate. Oh, Dewalt trimmer, absolute winner. I couldn't rate this enough. Like I say, it's the only router I've ever used, so take my knowledge and advice with a pinch of salt, but that is absolutely brilliant. Now we're done with that, we're going to give the plunge router a try. For that, I'm going to get a bit of a bigger board. Not very handy with this, so we get a bit of a bigger board. Just a piece of scrap wood, still got paint on it. Very basic piece of wood. It actually came off a banister from inside my house. We just had the stairs done. That is beautiful. I could not be more impressed by that. Again, that is just worked out perfectly. Let me unlock that and I'll show you quickly. Man, this is honestly, for £260, that is a hell of a piece of kit. I know some people might think that is expensive for a router, but considering you get the router, the trimmer, you get your guides, you get everything with it, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you can see that, but again, I just pulled out at the end there rather than sort of tidying that up. You can chisel it out, cut it really close to the edge there, look, and it's left it beautiful. Bit of sanding, feels really smooth inside, absolutely perfect. So if you're asking if this is worth the money, I would 100% say yes. £260 for the amount of stuff you get in with this is absolutely incredible. Obviously I had to spend an extra £40 on bits. You can buy the bits individually. I kind of wanted to get a whole range of bits just so that I can experiment and play around with the tables that I make. But as far as a router, plunge router, trim router, for me it's perfect. I couldn't think of anything better. So yeah, definitely something to consider. If you're a Dewalt fan, or you've got Dewalt tools already and you don't want to go out purchasing more batteries and more chargers and things like that, then consider this 100%. Add it to your wish list and things to get and go from there. So until the next video, take it easy.